You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Hello there, and welcome back to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network and the Star Wars podcast of Emotionally 14. This is episode 156. I'm Rob.
I'm Brad.
Hello, mate.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, a lot better. No, it was a weird one last week. I just had a cold kind of hit me, and it lodged itself straight in my sinuses and straight in my throat. So I wouldn't have been any use to you on a podcast, I'm afraid.
Yeah, unfortunately, with podcasting, it is the one medium where you really need your throat and sinuses to be working fully. I mean, I know some BSL, but it just doesn't come across on the podcast that well. It would be for my benefit, and I'd appreciate the thought. But beyond that, it's a tough one. How's your week in Star Wars been? My week in Star Wars has been pretty good, actually. I've only watched A New Hope twice this week. But I've watched a lot of Galaxy Adventures and a lot of Rebels because my little girl is still Star Wars obsessed at the moment, and she is absolutely enamored with Chewie at the moment. She's got a very, very small cuddly Chewbacca that Carl Mullings from Emotionally 14 gave to her when she was very small, and that now goes everywhere with her. She's got a book called Chewie and the Porgs, which is a big A3 I think I've heard of that,
kids book. It's such a cute story. It's just a story about Chewie and the Porgs while Rey's doing her training with Luke. It's a lovely little kids book. Artwork's great.
Presume it's set before. Is it before or after he roasts one?
You know what? It glosses over that, so I'm forced to wonder. But I'm sure that the story group took that seriously. I'm sure they gave it a massive consideration because I think that's the kind of thing they really as they do all things
exactly, and they lose a lot of sleep over this stuff.
Yeah, they really, really are concerned with the young readers' book. But there's quite a few pages which she needs to hug or kiss a picture of Chewie. It's so cute. Recording an episode of Farwin ready this week as well. We did something of we got Chewbacca turn up, and also the Imperial Specialists and the Rebel Specialists. So cool. Look out for that.
Soon.
And also we've got a convention appearance coming up, haven't we?
Yeah, it's what is it? A week Sunday. At the time of recording?
Well, if this comes out on Monday, then
this coming Sunday
is the show.
So this coming Sunday at the time of release.
Yeah, it's just in Cavalier 2019 in Tunbridge in Kent.
Yeah.
It's me, you, Blake and Ian just playing an absolutely massive game of Star Wars Legion.
What more could you ask for, really?
I don't know. What more could you ask for? How's your week in Star Wars been anyway?
It's been somewhat quiet. The only thing that has kind of made it cool is I bought this book in the Works. Other bookshops are available, but they charge more for this particular book. I know because I looked it up.
The Works is often quite good for Star Wars books.
Yes, indeed. So I got in the in the spirit of trying to advance myself on a technological level, I bought Star Wars coding projects for kids.
I've seen it. Yeah. It was too technologically advanced for me and a bit too advanced for a toddler.
That is fair. So, so the hope is basically the programming language it's in is called Scratch. It was developed by MIT to be kid friendly. Obviously, kids have sort of I think the age range it's aiming for is kind of 7-up. Other drinks are available, but it's designed like the language itself is built in a kind of compiler. And it's designed to be very visual. So certain commands that work with other commands are shaped like puzzle pieces. So you can't accidentally link two bits of code together that won't play nice.
I gotcha.
Which is quite clever,
Yeah.
So I thought maybe that might be a good way because I've been trying to learn for my work. I've been trying to learn a bit of programming and I'm getting there, but I do find myself having trouble sometimes getting my head around certain concepts.
So I thought maybe if I have a programming language that's very visual, I might be able to get some of those relationships a bit more clearly. That's the hope. I mean, it may turn out to be, that's a cool thing and you can get to make things like animations and stuff because it's got Star Wars characters. I'm guessing you can go on the website and use Star Wars sprites and stuff to do things. I mean, maybe one day I'll make Blake the Last Creationist, the RPG nobody knew they wanted. But until then, for now, it's just going to be kind of digging into that a bit when I get some time. Which obviously,
if you guys don't listen to the Crazy Train, this is all very funny.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, parents
listen to Crazy Train.
Yeah, I mean, parents make your call.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been I say it's been quiet. The only thing that was also the other thing that was also cool is I got an email regarding our chart position. We've cracked another country.
Oh wow!
We are top 50 TV and film in Israel today.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, how cool is that? Like, it's
top 50 in Israel.
Top 50 TV and film.
Again, that's not for Star Wars. That's not for sci-fi. That's TV and film.
Indeed. How cool is that?
I don't even know. English is a language of Israel, is it?
I think it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a commonly spoken one. I don't know if it's the official language. Okay, I guess. I don't know, to be honest.
I was genuinely interested.
Yeah, Vesuvi will probably know. Hebrew
is the only official language, and Arabic is a recognised language. So no, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Especially prevalent.
Oh, fair enough. All right. Well, I stand corrected. It's not an official language in the slightest.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, bastion of all reliable knowledge,
and not in any way manipulable for any sort of expedience. So that's good. Speaking of Vesuvi,
if you're listening in Israel, hello, thank you for
hello, and thank you for hello there, and thank you for joining us on Talk Star Wars.
Yeah.
And, tell your friends because, top 50, top 10's even better.
Yeah.
Top 5's the best. Top 1, top 1 is insurmountable, to be honest.
Yeah.
So speaking of Vesuvi.
There's a Star Wars connection to Israel in that's where Natalie Portman was born.
True. This is true. Funny, I watched a movie with Natalie Portman in the other day.
What's that?
Annihilation.
I really want to get around to seeing that. It looks so good.
It's worth a watch, I would say. There are parts of it that I sort of felt were a little bit... Oh, okay. I kind of left me a bit confused in places, but I thought it was overall. I thought it was very good, And it's got a weird alternate universe where Poe Dameron and Padme Amidala are a married couple, which is
that works for me. Yeah,
peculiar, but at the same time, all I could think about while it was on screen.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, Vesuvi. I think
Jane Foster and Apocalypse.
Yeah, that too. But isn't that kind of crossing universes technically until the merger's complete?
Yes.
Yeah. The dude from Ex Machina versus Evie from V for Vendetta. While we're crossing over universes, let's go hog wild. Yeah. So, speaking of Vesuvi, who I mentioned a minute ago in the context of knowledge of foreign languages and various countries, she has been kind enough to send us a Resistance Roundup. These are getting more and more verbose, and I find that incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
When you think,
she's pretty verbose.
It's getting, the series is going along, so surely it's telling you more stuff, which is potentially spoiler territory, but she's managing to tell us more stuff and simultaneously tell us less.
She's so good at being spoiler-free. I actually now know less about the series than I did before it started.
I agree. I think, now I found a way to, I'm like, who? Who does she mean? I don't remember this character.
What's going on?
Yeah. So, Vesuvi's Roundup reads... The new trooper begins with Captain Dozer in his office as an Upsilon-class command shuttle arrives to the Colossus, carrying Commander Pyre and another squad of First Order stormtroopers. Dozer warns Pyre to remember who's still in control of the station. Pyre simply and ominously states that they'll stick to their mandate of security. Meanwhile, on the underside of the Colossus, there's another Marvel character making his appearance. Kel and Ayla have ventured out of their hiding places with the Kellidae and are trying to catch a load of those flying shrimp I mentioned last week, which still haven't been designated on either Wikipedia nor Databank as far as I can find. They're similar to air shrimp, but not exactly the same. Are they a real thing?
Air shrimp?
Yeah.
Not what I know of.
No, it sounds like the kind of thing where you're making a shrimp related dish and you don't use real shrimp, like air guitar. Like you think act like you're putting them in and you don't.
Yeah, or it sounds like where someone like really badly names an animal, like, a guinea pig isn't actually a pig.
No, indeed.
It sounds like something, or a seahorse isn't actually a horse. So that's what air shrimp sounds like to me. It's possibly some sort of chaffinch.
Maybe, yeah. There's the image I needed. A shrimp with chaffinch wings.
Yeah.
So, distracted by taking in their haul, the kids giggling attracts a patrolling trooper. He demands to see their identification. During the scuffle, Kel starts throwing some of their slimy catch against the troop's armour, which causes him to fall. I know.
So this is a family-friendly show.
Against the troop's arm, which causes him to fall and hit his head on a railing, knocking him unconscious. This is where the railings have all gone from all the other places in Star Wars. Clearly,
Yeah.
Over in Yeager's repairs, Team Fireball are again debating the pros and cons of First Order occupation when the two young fugitives from Tahar ask Kaz to help them with their entanglement. That should be plenty to whet your appetites, but I'd be remiss if I didn't let you know we see another space waffle.
Spoffle.
Is that... Hang on. Is this like Blue Waffle, one of those internet hoaxes?
I was going to say, that's
about
don't Google it.
No, don't
Google it.
You might think you want to, but you don't.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah.
Remember Goatsy Kids? Don't Google it.
No, don't remember Goatsy Kids. Don't think about the event. But I don't know whether it's... Well, she's included a Wikipedia link, which makes you think... Maybe
it doesn't work on my device.
Okay, so I'm gonna look. So space waffle, accept cookies. Yeah, sure. Waffles and cookies. Okay, it's just all right. Okay, so this is not like air shrimp. This is literally a waffle in space. These are waffles.
I love that Star Wars has suddenly gone a bit Douglas Adams. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's just here we go. So yes, it's included a bunch of. Air shrimp is a thing. What? What?
Is it like a guinea pig?
No, it's a Star Wars thing.
Oh, okay.
Air shrimp. So this is a Legends thing. I'm presuming, at least. It was. Having said that, they're canon.
If we're in Resistance, they'll be canon.
Well, no, they look like them. They're not actually them.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
So air shrimps.
I've not noticed Vesuvi reference much in the way of Legends canon, to be honest.
No, she tends to be pretty contemporary, I think. Air shrimps were a species native to the gas giant Bespin, where they lived in the planet.
Are they in Battlefront?
Maybe. They're in the Galactic Atlas and Ultimate Star Wars, which is where they first mentioned.
Yeah. Okay.
Where they live in the planet's breathable atmosphere. I'll start again. Where they lived in the planet's breathable layer of atmosphere among the algal trees that grew there. Members of the species travelled in shoals and shimmered in rainbow colours to warn each other of predators like the Rorke, which would chase air shrimp shoals. Huh.
Okay.
So, yeah, mentioned in Ultimate Star Wars, but never on screen. So maybe she was thinking that was going to be the case. However, there was an update to this.
I found it's Beldon of the creatures that live in Bespin that are in Battlefront 2. You kind of fly past them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, mystery solved. The creatures are called snarlfish. Which,
if you're wondering, is a type of air waffle.
Close enough. Yeah, sure. So, Vesuvi. Yeah, no, I'm not going to correct you. It's fine. I see no need to, mainly because I don't have the answer to replace it with. It's largely unnecessary on my part. It would be an exercise of futility. Whizzing in the wind, as it were.
Yeah.
So, Vesuvi, thank you very much for this one. I've seen a preview for the next, not a preview as in a visual, I've seen a written preview. And next week's Resistance, I think, proves to be very interesting.
Ooh.
There's a rumbling that it will go into some depth about why the First Order are capable of spreading throughout the galaxy so fast.
Oh, you mean the thing that should have been in the movies?
Well, quite, but nonetheless, it's been promoted from the opening crawl to an episode of Resistance, apparently. So we may find out more about that.
I look forward to that eventually airing in the UK.
Yeah, well, any day now we'll get episode 1, so that's all good. Vesuvi wrote in again. Regarding episode 155, which is obviously last week's show. And Vesuvi writes, thanks, Rob. Thanks, Carlos. Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
And welcome. Wishing Brad a most speedy recovery.
It was pretty quick, like Wolverine speed.
Nice. During those delightful speculative celebrity death matches...
Right.
When Andy mentioned Ex Machina, I wanted to add my endorsement to that flick. Seriously, Rob, what's taken you so long in viewing that modern masterpiece? It's got Oscar Isaac and Domhnall Gleeson.
Plus, it'll fit nicely into all of the artificial intelligence attaining sentience sci-fi pondering you've been enjoying with Battlestar Galactica. Well, it does sound good.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere. I have a digital copy. I just it's a bit trickier to watch than some of my other stuff. So just don't get around to it.
You know, if you're after artificial intelligence attaining sentience, you tend to watch Terminator.
That is, it's a tremendous risk. I say risk.
Yeah. Speaking of worst case scenario, you watch Terminator. It's not that much of a risk.
Speaking of hypothetical skirmishes, props to Andrew's original message. Mm-hmm. Who do you figure would prevail in a Mimban mud wrestling bout between Baru and Akmina, circa 1 BBY? If I have money to wager, it'd be on Akmina. I feel like whoever wins, we lose.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Alien versus Predator, except, you know, Baru versus Akmina.
Yeah.
I have to refresh my memory on who Akmina is because I must confess.
Yeah, I'm being
it's B. Arthur from the Holiday Special.
Yes, fine.
Yeah.
Thanks for Soothes.
I mean, I can understand. That's actually quite evenly matched.
I feel the real victor here is realisation that you don't have to read every email Vesuvi sends in.
I would say they're quite evenly matched, but actually I think Akmina might have the edge.
I think it depends how old Baru is.
That's also true. It's not specified.
No.
If we're talking Baru from...
So we're assuming Baru in her prime.
I guess so, yeah. Prime Baru. I don't know. I still think Akmina because she's managed a cantina. She's probably had to get in there and break up a fight or two. I mean,
what's Baru done? Just fed some vegetables into a food processor.
Milked something blue.
Has she?
She's milked a Smurf. That's
the only thing you see Baru do is prepare food.
There you go. So maybe she's just that kind of. Maybe she's just like a budding chef. Maybe she's really desperate.
I don't think she even pitches in on Berry and Shmee.
No, probably not. I'd have to go back and watch, but I think she does. She probably is like, oh, my back.
Yeah.
All right, mate.
You probably accidentally watched Terminator by mistake.
That's also possible. In response to Rick's wonderful elimination challenge, I'd asked Sachet, because I'm sure if she weren't around, Sabé could pick up the slack. Maybe Corday or Dorme would move into the spotlight a tad earlier. On second thought, scratch getting rid of any handmaidens. Let's get them in a roller derby scenario instead.
That's the Whippet film we wanted.
I'm desperate one day to see the pinball machine that is Vesuvi's mind. But I mean, in the best possible way, because I love a bit of pinball. Yeah. I love it. It's a fantastic game. But some of the thought processes must be a thing of beauty to watch unfold. Just like a fractal or something, or like those old Windows Media Player visualizations.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. Like I can imagine her mind kind of not unraveling. Yeah. That's a terrible way of putting it. But in her kind of thought process unfolding like one of those coloured kind of fractal things that used to sort of keep the screen from burning in,
or just peeling off in different directions like a cheese string.
Yeah, also possible. Oh, here's one for you.
We love you for soups.
Yeah, totally. Since you brushed upon Anthony Daniels' tweets, in one recent cryptic post, he mentioned the letters TRAV, sending web theorists into wondering whether those letters might indicate the title for episode 9. If indeed the title was 4 words beginning with those letters, what would you guess? Perhaps something like The Ravages After Victory, Tides Roll and Veer, Triumph Renders All Void, Tarful Recoils Against Veterinarians. I'd love to hear yours. Thanks for all the giggles past and giggles ahead. Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth. TRAV.
Okay. I think it's unlikely because I've seen several people involved with episode 9 say that so far only J.J. Abrams knows what the title of episode 9 is, and these have all been independent statements. So I think that's pretty unlikely. Maybe he's hinting that Karen Travis is finally coming back.
That would be cool.
It would be. Karen, come back. We love you.
We do.
You were so good.
Totally.
We understand why you got annoyed. We do.
Yeah.
But
at the same time,
I genuinely do. I understand why you got fed up, but it's very different now. He's gone. He's not coming back.
So let's say for argument's sake, TRAV is the acronym for the title. Mm-hmm. The Resistance are victorious.
Oh, the Rebel Alliance victorious. Yeah, that's what
the Rebel Alliance victorious. Yeah, that works. Because you think maybe they might go back to being the Rebel Alliance.
That's a spoiler, but actually, to be honest, all of the titles are spoilers.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi, The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
A New Hope. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith. Attack of the Clones.
Solo.
Attack of the Clones. Yeah, Attack of the Clones, not so much, because that's
That was it's kind of as vague and ill-informed as most of the film is.
Kind of, yeah. It should have been called A Pretty Good Obi-Wan Story and some other filler.
Yeah. Tarkin returns as villain.
Oh, there you go. I would go for that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other stuff. I am struggling to get past the Rebel Alliance victorious because that does seem pretty good.
That seems too obvious somehow, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The resistance, something about resistance kind of,
resistance are the villains.
Oh, there you go. There's a twist.
Yeah.
See, I saw something to suggest that Anthony Daniels wasn't talking about episode 9 because I remember him saying it doesn't. He read like he'd taken something particularly hallucinogenic and was just kind of sitting on, collapsed out on the couch, just looking at his wall and just seeing all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, it's totally. Maybe he had. We don't know.
I mean, I don't want to, do anything
he's
that might be.
He's a grown man. He's welcome to do what he wants.
Oh, totally. No, as long as he's not breaking the law or hurting anyone, then he's good, right?
We're not saying he is. Yeah.
No, exactly. Totally.
He's supposed to be a lovely chap. By all, if you ask anyone apart from Kenny Baker, they say he's a lovely chap.
Yeah. But then Kenny Baker was inside. Once. Yeah, Kenny Baker was inside that suit all day. I would imagine anybody would be grouchy.
Yeah,
I would be. Put me in that R2D2 outfit. That would be incredibly painful for me.
Is there any actors you get that name from? And not that it immediately leaps to mind.
No.
I'm now kind of up for Tarkin returns as villain.
I'd be down for that completely. How amazing would that be?
Don't see him die. He evacuated in his moment of triumph. Remember Tarkin is Snoke theories, kids?
Yeah. Thrawn Rebel achieves victory.
Yeah.
It's just a twist. So basically, he's just, in the meantime, he's defected in between Rebels and Episode 9. He's just defected, so he just turns up on the side of the Resistance.
The Republic assaulted by Vong.
Oh, there you go.
Remember Yuzhan Vong, kids?
Yeah, well, I mean, increasingly, they seem to be talking about those unknown regions, so you never know.
I've noticed that. I don't think that'll be 9, but I wonder if that's Rian Johnson's trilogy.
Quite possibly, yeah. Incidentally, in news that never was, he's still doing that stuff.
Yeah, the Boba Fett movie still isn't a thing, so pay attention, people.
Yeah, that was a weird thing that happened. It seemed to be. It was one of those things. It wouldn't have. I know that the outlet has since come out and apologized and said, we had a rumor. We thought it was. We checked it. We thought it was legit as we could get, and we ran with it.
Yeah, it happened. Even Ryan said, by the sound of it, those guys are generally good guys. He didn't think they were.
No, exactly. So for those who weren't familiar, there was a brief rumor that Rian Johnson's trilogy was no more, and that it turns out not to be the case. Source, Rian Johnson.
I mean, I know how the creative thing. I mean, if I'm told Rian Johnson is working on a Star Wars trilogy and I don't hear anything, my immediate instinct isn't, he's not working on that anymore.
He's a bit busy working on the Star Wars.
Stephen King doesn't need to constantly tell me that he's still writing a book. I can take it for granted that Stephen King's writing something.
Yeah, he's probably busy doing writing stuff or having weird meltdowns on Twitter. That's that seems to be the remit of most people now. Doing occasional things and melting down on Twitter. I'm just lucky that my busy schedule doesn't allow me to have meltdowns. Yeah. It's brilliant. But one day when I do have one, it's going to be spectacular.
He's got a very cute dog, though, which I don't mind seeing.
No, that's nice.
Yes, his name is Molly, the thing of evil.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was briefly.
Any planets immediately suggested? Any characters immediately suggested by Trav? And
not really. No.
Tweets really are vague.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that he was sort of, I got the feeling he was going off on a weird sort of tear.
He had a bottle of wine and was enjoying himself.
Yeah, he was talking, he was saying things like, it's so beautiful off in the distance. It doesn't look like a teaser or a name. It looks like something else. I'm just like, just out with it, man. Come on. There's enough of these riddles. But he didn't, I don't think, to my understanding, he hasn't come out with anything to elaborate on what he was talking about.
Yeah, but I can't get any initials or anything from those.
No. There's nothing that springs to mind instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Thrawn returns as villain could theoretically happen, I guess.
I've seen a few people say that's likely. I don't agree still. I've not seen anything to sway me.
Yeah,
Thorn would be in episode 9.
You've elucidated on this as well. It's like it's too late. Sorry. Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I was just going to say, you mentioned before that you think it's too late in the day to introduce him into the films. I agree.
Every episode is someone's first. Very, very quickly, I feel putting forward in episode 9 would confuse people who didn't know who he was and disappoint people who did.
Yeah, there you go. So it's not going to be. It's one of those things. It's like a video game adaptation. You just can't believe anyone.
If he's in and it's Sinise, then fine. But
yeah, I mean that's it. I mean ultimately, if it's Sinise, I'll give it a pass because I love Sinise. Yeah. So
totally.
He gets a pass from me for most things. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there you go, Vesuvi. Hopefully, a couple of those have got your creative juices flying. What do you think, listeners out there in listener land? What do you make of the TRAV? What would you... No, let's say it's not even a thing, but it might be. What would your pick be? Let us know. So our next one comes from a person who identifies themselves as Sparkly Water Shrimp. Now, I teased this message on last week's show.
But are they canon? Are they on Bespin?
Possibly, yeah.
Sparkly Water Waffle?
Yeah.
Sparkly Waffle Shrimp?
I teased this question on last week's show that I would have a chance to, because it came in late in the day and I didn't have a chance to tidy it up. Mm-hmm. And the main reason I didn't read it was because I was still salty at the fact that they called me Josh. My name is Rob. My name has always been Rob. It is one syllable. It is not hard. Sparkly Water Shrimp writes, Hey guys, and hello there to any potential guests. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. Oh my. I listened to the Stuff You Should Know podcast, and I've only just listened to the episode on the Star Wars Christmas special. I've never seen it, and after hearing you guys slam it, I've avoided, but was interested in hearing Rob and Brad break it down. OMG. Wookiees.
No. You don't break the Star Wars Holiday Special down. The Star Wars Holiday Special breaks you down.
Wookiees talking for ages with no subtitles, songs, clearly awkward cast. Sounds horrible.
Yep.
Thanks for the heads up, dudes, and may the force be with us all. Sparkly Water Shrimp.
Here's the thing with the Star Wars Holiday Special. If you are a big Star Wars fan, I kind of feel like you need to see it.
Okay.
On the other hand, if you are a really big Star Wars fan, I feel the worst thing you can do to yourself is to watch the Star Wars Holiday Special.
It is.
And it's only once you see... No, you don't watch it. So once you've experienced the Star Wars Holiday Special, that's only when you understand what I mean.
Yeah. No, I totally understand exactly what you mean, having seen it myself.
You never get over seeing it. Put it that way. There will still be moments... It's like post-traumatic stress disorder. It's like several months later, you can just suddenly go, ooh. Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. There's two redeeming things, and they're relatively small. But to kind of... To touch on the gist of what's wrong with it, it's just all over the place.
It's absolutely mental.
Yeah, so as Sparkly Water Shrimp, I'm going to go with SWS just for the sake of it, just for the sake of being expeditious. Sparkly Water, SWS, as it alluded to, there's an intro.
Totally rambling again, Vesuvi.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's an intro which involves, as SWS rightly points out, Wookiees talking for, I think, a good 8 minutes.
It feels like 20. It probably is nearer 5.
Yes. But there's no subtitles or any kind of indicator as to what it's about.
It's like watching... the whirly things at the car wash mime is what it's like watching for an extended period of time.
That's great.
Just doing nothing.
Yeah. Lest we forget, there's a bit where the Wookiee grandpa just calls a sex line midway through dinner prep. He just calls this weird... It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Imagine doing that.
It's Thanksgiving as far as Wookiees are concerned. What is he playing at?
Would you do that? I mean, I'm not Wookiee and I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't call a sex line during dinner prep in general. I find that poor form in every respect. It's so peculiar.
Oh God, I've forgotten. and then, it's really is strange.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And it is bad. Don't get me wrong. It is bad. It is badly executed. It is badly choreographed. It is badly thought through, and it is badly performed. But just to say it is bad dismisses how strange it is.
Yeah, it is so peculiar. It is just, let's say, then Jefferson Starship turn up because sure.
Yeah.
Whether that's in the right order, I don't know.
The closest other medium I've come across that comes anywhere near how strange it is Gremlins 2, which is...
Oh, yeah, when it all goes a bit meta and Hulk Hogan or John Wayne turns up, depending on what you're watching.
Basically, the story behind Gremlins 2 was Joe Dante never wanted to do a Gremlins sequel, and they just kept asking him, and his fee kept, the amount of money on the table kept going up and up and up, and his final response was, all right, but you won't like it, and that's why we got Gremlins 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a Gremlins movie, it's Joe Dante's War on the Fourth Wall.
It's mental. Like, depending on which version you watch, you either get... what's it called? You either get Hulk Hogan or John Wayne telling the Gremlins off and getting them to restart the film, depending on what version of the film you're watching. That's mad.
It's totally insane.
I sort of missed that really obscure, bizarre 80s, 90s storyboard meetings where clearly everybody had a bottle of wine and was having a jolly good time.
Yeah.
That sort of
so
stuff.
if you've seen Gremlins 2, that's kind of the feel of some of Star Wars, although Gremlins 2 is a much better film in most other respects.
Yeah.
Because for all his weirdness, Joe Dante is a very good artist. And I enjoy his stuff in general. But Holiday Special is weird. And in defense of it, I'm going to try now. In defense of the Star Wars Holiday Special, which I don't know anyone has ever attempted before.
Okay. It's probably been
the
done. Star
Wars Holiday Special was a contractual obligation, which is how you got Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher, and I think Anthony Daniels back on board.
Yeah.
Darth Vader is in it, but I feel like all his dialogue is sampled from A New Hope. I don't believe James L. Jones is actually back.
I seem to recall.
So in defense of the Star Wars Holiday Special, this was a contractual obligation that there was going to be a Thanksgiving TV special based on this movie. And what you need to put it in its context, they had no idea at the time Star Wars was going to be the pop culture phenomenon that it became.
Totally not. Yeah, absolutely.
This is really before VHS or Betamax to any real degree. So unless it did another round at the cinema, or it did get on TV after a while, chances are people were going to forget about Star Wars and be on to the next movie. And so it then becomes a really I feel for the TV producer whose job it was to do it.
Yeah.
Because even now, if I'd said to you, here, you've got 3 months, you've got to do a Ready Player One Christmas special, you would probably do what the Star Wars Holiday Special did, and do some sketches, get some special guests in, and make it a bit of a Ant and Dec type show with Ready Player One elements.
Maybe.
So when you see it in its historic context like that, I can understand the challenge of doing it and why, and maybe also because it was a transient thing, the lack of effort that went into it as well. But it is strange.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I mean, I cannot argue with strange as the adjective of choice when it comes to describing the Star Wars Holiday Special. It is bizarre. In every facet of its execution. Who in their right mind does the non-dialogue Wookiee scene, Grandpa calling a sex line, the Boba Fett cartoon, midway just sandwiched in, B. Arthur as a cantina owner, and then there's...
Mark was barely in it because he was quite poorly at the time.
Yes. And then Carrie Fisher, that's the other redeeming part. The Boba Fett cartoon's pretty cool, and Carrie Fisher had an incredible singing voice.
To the Star Wars theme.
Yeah, it's great. It's just it's beautiful.
Bizarre, but yeah,
it's beautiful. She looks very,
coked out is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, I was kind of dancing around it, but yeah, sure. She looks a little. She looks worse. She looks worse for wear. She looks worse for wear. Either way.
Yeah. But looking at it, you're wondering like, maybe that's what you needed.
Maybe.
Just to get through the shoot, that's what you needed.
Maybe. But yeah,
after 20 minutes of Wookiees talking without subtitles, I was tempted.
Yeah, but she could sing.
Yeah, right? But after her singing number, there's a really bizarre, candlelit choir procession with a load of Wookiees.
Yeah, that's also a weird one.
It's really odd. It's odd. It's strange.
Everything's
it's
odd.
Weird.
Yeah, totally.
And like I say, I don't want to play down that it's bad, because it is. Yes. But at the same time, I don't want to downplay that it's strange.
Yeah, because it really is.
And I honestly don't know whether to tell people to watch it or not.
Yeah. Well, here's a little sort of mini anecdote that SWS can take with them that might help others as well debating it. Your mother is one of the fans I know who is most kind of just their heart is warmed by the watching of Star Wars in any respect.
Yes. Yeah. And
she was so cross.
She was furious.
She was livid by the end of that.
I've never seen her so cross.
She almost it almost put her off Star Wars. It sounded like she was so annoyed. She was so vexed by this, this bizarre TV presentation. And let's say the fact that Jefferson Starship just turned up. Yeah, sure, why not? At that point, who else can we get for this? Jefferson Starship, why not? B. Arthur, throw them in as a bartender, why not? Have somebody cooking, sure.
So strange.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very odd.
Whip stir.
Oh, man, I've forgotten all about that.
Yeah, it's like a fever dream.
It is. It's like going through some sort of weird, Anthony Daniels hitting a bottle of wine and having a jolly good time.
Man, I don't know if you've ever drunk absinthe, but that's kind of the closest description I can get to it.
I don't think I've ever had the proper stuff. I think I've just had the kind of imitation stuff. I think that's my limit.
Absinthe drunk is weird drunk, but we're going off topic there. But
indeed,
it's a weird. Star Wars Holiday Special is just so bizarre, man.
There you go. So SWS, Sparkly
if you're going to watch it, I would say watch it with some other Star Wars fans.
Oh, yes. Don't watch it by yourself, whatever you do.
And some snacks and
you will
drinks
just
of your
be angry.
choice.
Yeah,
some snacks, drinks of your choice, and some friends. Make it a Christmas thing. Make it a Thanksgiving thing. If Thanksgiving in your part of the world.
The stuff that's rubbish, especially when it's so strange, is best enjoyed with friends, or indeed at all. It's the only way to do it. I don't think I know anybody who will watch a bad film by themselves unironically.
It's not the same.
No, it's not.
It's not the same thing at all. No.
There you go. So hopefully Sparkly Water Shrimp, I hope that helps to illuminate on this particular subject. So our next message comes from Rob, no relation, via Twitter.
Let's call him Josh.
Sure. Yeah, Josh. All right, so Josh. Hi, Josh. It's actually Rob. Do you want to read this one?
Sure. From Rob via Twitter. In episode 20, you had answered a question, which would you choose, a lightsaber or the Millennium Falcon? I asked my wife and our 3 children, and Millennium Falcon won. My follow-up question is this: to stop anybody stealing it, would you sleep with a lightsaber under your pillow? Okay,
so first question. Obviously, you weren't on episode 20.
Okay.
Lightsaber or Millennium Falcon?
It's not a dichotomy, but okay.
It is, yeah. I mean, that was the question we were asked in episode 20, so I can only deal the cards I'm dealt, my man.
That's got to be a lightsaber, isn't it? Just the amount of stuff you can do with it. I mean,
it does have. I feel like it has more.
It has more uses. I feel there's. If I was a kid, I'd probably have said Falcon, but now I'm imagining parking it.
Yeah, that was. I think. Do you know? As much as it sounds kind of like
imagine trying to park it in Catford,
spoiling the fun kind of thing. I think that's one of the considerations we had at the time, because we're going back a couple of years for episode 20, but I feel like we had one of those thoughts. You know, where are you going to park it?
Yeah,
like theoretically anywhere, but it's not that simple. They're quite. No. It's actually quite big, and you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be. I mean, you could reverse park it probably if you're a good enough pilot, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do it without crushing other cars. It's just not an option, I don't think. So,
I don't think you. Sorry, I don't think you, your wife and your 3 children thought that through.
Maybe. Well, I mean, maybe they were just thinking about, maybe they park near, maybe they live near a big field.
Possibly. Oh, yeah, possibly. Yeah.
If they live near a big village green,
if you're in Iowa, I'm sure it's not a problem.
Yeah, indeed. If it's just live near a big village green or something, then you're all set. Just get if the council will let you.
Yeah.
So, said lightsaber to keep it safe. Would you sleep with it under your pillow?
Oh man.
I do not trust myself not to completely sear my own head off.
I would probably
also,
put it under my pillow.
Example.
It would fall between the mattress and the headboard, and I'd never see it again.
Yeah, and then you'd be like moving or tidying up or something, or just replacing the bed, and there it is. I must use.
I've done too much dust. I'll deal with that later.
Yeah, I don't trust myself not to sear my own head off. And in this example, even more so. So, I'm going to say no. I would probably have it. I'd probably have a safe, to be honest. I'd probably be responsible.
What use would you? There's no use for a lightsaber under your pillow unless Mark Hamill comes into your room in the middle of the night.
Well, quite. There is that. If he's coming at you in the middle of the night, then I think that you're defending yourself. That's fair.
If Mark Hamill came out in the middle of the night, I don't think my first instinct would be to reach under my pillow for my lightsaber. It would be, is that Mark Hamill
in my bedroom?
What's he doing in my bedroom?
What could he possibly want?
I wonder if he'll sign my Batman stuff.
Maybe. Entirely possible. Yeah. He's just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, in fact.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope Josh answers your question.
Yeah, hopefully, Josh Rob, that answers your question. So our last email comes from Jared, who got it in right at the death. Oh, my. Mm-hmm. As he acknowledges in his email. So, hi, folks. I have a bad habit of waiting until recording day to squeeze in time for a message, but I'd always rather write in late than not at all. As we would also, Jared. So never apologise. The worst case scenario is it doesn't make it in time and it rolls over to next week. So it's not the end of the world. You're always going to get your question read. I recently had my first run-in with an actual original Star Wars actor. My closest real-life connection to the movie so far has been friends of friends who work for reporting outlets that cover Star Wars happenings out on the West Coast. My day job is in the performing arts and venue management world. And 2 weeks ago, my venue hosted a touring theatre company for a multi-show run. At a pre-show Q&A event, one of the actors casually dropped that he was in a movie called Star Wars back in 1977. After I picked my jaw up off the floor, I ran to my office to check IMDb, and by the moon of Yavin, it was Jack Claff who played Red 4. Sure, it's not the most prominent role in the film, but holy asterisks, an original Star Wars cast member.
Sith, mate.
It was all I could do not to pull him aside and shout, "You fought in the Battle of Yavin. You flew with Red Squadron. Did you fly over Scarif? Do you get motion sickness in X-Wings?" I contained myself and carried on the next few days trying to resemble a composed professional. Turns out Mr. Claff is a phenomenal acting talent and a brilliant and kind man off of the stage. Before the theatre company's departure, I purchased a cool Bandy X-Wing model kit to have signed. Generously, Mr. Claff obliged with a signature. Not only do I have my first ever experience meeting an original Star Wars actor, but I've now acquired my first Star Wars item to display as a start to my collection. I'd like to hear about your first encounter with someone connected with the movies, or your first moment being awestruck by something connected to the films. Keep up the solid work, Jared.
Yes,
you've attended
both sides of the desk.
Yeah, both sides of the desk. So you probably have a few of these. So I'm going to let you kick us off.
First one I met was Ray Park, Celebration Europe, first one. And someone else I met that same day as well. Dave Prowse.
Dave Prowse, okay.
Yeah, Dave Prowse and Ray Park. I did meet Jeremy Bullock briefly as well because he was sat next to Ray Park and commented on the fact I was wearing a Boba Fett t-shirt.
Nice.
I think that was... What else have I done since then?
Did he say, "I love the body of your t-shirt, I'm not allowed to like the voice anymore"?
Who else have I met? Kenny Baker I met.
Okay.
Julian Glover, General Veers.
Oh, yep.
He was amazing, yeah.
Have you told your General Veers story on the show? Every episode somebody's first. Just go for it.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I took my Empire Strikes Back DVD cover to have signed, and he was a genuinely lovely chap, and he was absolutely awestruck by the couple in front of me in the queue who had a complete works of Shakespeare to have signed, and because I believe he's with the RSC.
That sounds right.
They had a load of different actors signed the flyleaf. I could see Ian McKellen's name in there.
Oh wow,
for sure. And he was absolutely marking out over the signatures in this book, and he was just so happy to have his name. I mean, that was a little farty guy with a Star Wars DVD came afterwards, and he said to her, "Where do you want me to sign it?" And I said, "Well, you've done a lot more of these than I have. Where do you think it looks best?" And he pointed to the AT-ATs on the cover and just said, "Oh, look, there I am," and then signed over the AT-ATs.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love that story.
I'm at best. I did another London show.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually no queue for him. I felt a bit bad, and he was because for all Jar Jar bashing, he did a great job.
Yeah, ultimately he made an annoying character annoying. I mean, he did a really good job with that.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
Deliberate.
I'm about to go look at my DVDs.
Yeah, fair enough.
Akbar, Tim Rose.
Tim Rose, yeah.
Yeah, so I met Akbar and Toby Philpott, maybe. I think he was a Jabba the Hutt puppeteer.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not that intimately familiar with it.
No, Jerry Bullock I have met since as well.
Nice.
I've acquired a few signatures. I have a few Star Wars signatures that I didn't personally get, but I've just picked up.
Yeah.
Including Christopher Lee, my friend got for me for my birthday.
I was just going to say, including Christopher Lee, my friend. I'm like, how did we never see him at a gaming night?
He's everyone's friend. He'd have been totally up for it as well.
He would have. I think he would have. He probably narrated it for us or something awesome.
Yeah. Peter Cushing was a huge miniatures gamer. It was his main thing. Apparently, I just always hope that he got together and played the Lord of the Rings game with Christopher sometime.
How cool would that have been?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, there's always those great stories about Robin Williams and Warhammer 40k. I feel like there'd be similar stories if there was a Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee gaming night that was regularly attended. That'd be incredible.
Oh man, yeah, how great would that be?
That would be rather good.
Yeah, I mean the closest you got is us playing Mansions of Madness.
Available.
Which is fine, but imagine having two Hammer Stars playing Mansions with you.
That would be incredible. Nothing short of incredible. Any more?
I've got a feeling with someone else, and I'm worried I'm offending them, but I think I have Ewan McGregor's autograph. I think I just picked up because I had some money at a convention.
Yeah.
I have Warwick Davies' autograph because my friend's work colleague used to babysit his kids said, could you, my friend said, could you get an autograph next to him there? Because my friend's, he collects Star Wars signatures. And she says, yeah, of course I can. Unfortunately, a bit of a message got confused, so I've got an autograph from Warwick Davies made out to Paul, who was my friend.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, I've got a Warwick Davies made out to Paul.
I thought you were going to say there was a really big clerical error and I have one of his kids autographed.
Kieran Gillen was the most recent one. The current writer of he did the
Marvel
Darth Vader run, and he's now currently writing. He did Marvel. He did the first Darth Vader series after Marvel got rights back, and he is currently writing the main Star Wars series.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a much shorter list, which is why I thought it would be better to kind of lead with yours. So I've been in the same Premier Inn hotel as I can't remember his surname. The actor who plays Admiral Piet.
No, I can picture him. Yeah.
It's basically
not Le Parmentier, is it? It's
I was in the same room because obviously we went to Echo Live with the TSW toy box back in the day, and there were a number of Star Wars actors there. Jeremy got to meet them all because I was manning the stall. So
Kenneth Colley,
thank you. I knew it was Kenneth, but I couldn't think of what it was. But yeah, it was Paul Blake, the guy who played Greedo.
Yes.
There's a couple of stormtroopers, including the one who bangs his head. I know one of them's called Chris Bunn, and then there's others. And, my apologies if you're listening and I've forgotten your names, but I was, like I say, I had to man the stall, so I didn't get a chance to meet them. And also, when I went to see Episode 1, Phantom Menace 3D in London, Anthony Daniels came out and introduced the film.
Yeah.
Which was very cool.
You got time his drink over?
Did he? Oh, yes, he did as he was coming down the aisle. That's right, yeah. But of course, you can't say anything because he's the special guest. I feel like that's fair,
Yeah.
But, those are the only ones really that I've actually sort of been in the same room as. I say, meeting them. I'm not a big convention guy. I don't find them particularly enjoyable. I think I'm slightly too introverted for them. Maybe just ever so slightly. So being around large crowds stresses me out.
I enjoy when there's comics or writers. I tend to enjoy it more. I don't particularly enjoy queuing up to talk to people for 5 minutes for what is, to be fair, quite a high sum of money sometimes.
Oh yeah, some of them are amazingly expensive.
Yeah. But, people pay it. So.
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously...
it doesn't appeal to me. I enjoy it. I mentioned before I'm a huge tabletop gamer. I like tabletop gaming conventions a lot more. Maybe because there isn't that... I know you mean there's... Especially as the cosplay things got off, they seem to have become... Comic-Cons in general seem a lot more extroverted than they used to be.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand it. Obviously, it's a lot of it's, obviously there's people dressing up, and so that's a very extroverted activity, and a lot of them do social gatherings and stuff, and more power to them. But for me, it's just too many people, and it just stresses me out immensely. So I was just having a look, actually, and the Celebration autograph prices, not all of them have been published on the subject of expensive signatures, but there are a fair few that have been published, and they are, Ian McDiarmid is charging $110.
He never used to do them.
No, I don't know if he's just, maybe he's just not really done them and he decided he should.
Maybe he wants to try. Yeah, I know James Earl Jones doesn't do conventions but will happily sign anything Star Wars related if you do meet him.
Yeah, fair enough.
Certainly he's done like theatre plays before and he's happy to talk to people after. If they come and see his play, he'll happily chat to them about the play and sign anything they want to bring along, but he doesn't like to charge for it.
Yeah. So there's... let me see. The highest profile people there, I feel, are Jason Isaacs is there, $90. Jonas Suotomo, $70.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at London Film and Comic Con for July. William Shatner is £75 for an autograph.
Which I mean is just, it's a little bit less.
Understandable because. He's Shatner.
He's a huge deal.
Thing. Yeah, he's an older man. Realistically, how long is he going to be wanting doing conventions for?
This is it.
Jerry Bullock call it day or day. Jason Momoa, however, is £95.
Yep.
So I don't know what he's playing at there.
I mean, Aquaman's made a lot of money.
Struggling for work, are you, Jason?
I mean, it's not like you were in one of the bigger of DC films of recent memory, and apparently, high acclaim.
London Film and Comic Con has got quite a few big names already, actually. Robert Carlyle, Jason Momoa, Christina Ricci, William Shatner, Walter Koenig.
Very cool.
Alfie Allen, Jenna Coleman, Billy D. Williams.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The big ones for Celebration this year are Ian McDiarmid, Peter Mayhew, Jason Isaacs, arguably. Sam Witwer is always good.
He's one of the few actors who have done Star Trek and Star Wars.
True. Not DC or Marvel, so he can't be on our list. Shame.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, that's only we're still at 2, right? Richard Armitage and Andy Serkis. In terms of the ones who've done Marvel, Star Wars, and Lord of the Rings.
Only if you go through, my wife's incredibly strict.
Yeah, she's got some weird rules around it.
Yeah.
I think if you flash a Marvel Studios logo up, it's fair game, personally.
I think she could have Christopher Lee on the grounds he's in Howard the Duck.
Fair. Yeah, exactly. Like I say, if you can flash a Marvel Studios logo up there, that counts, as far as I'm concerned.
Elijah Wood's going to be in Series 2 of Resistance.
There you go. Done. Boom.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Is he in Marvel? I try and remember.
Oh, I've got a feeling like he is.
I feel like he is. I can't tell you when. It's, there you go. Nevertheless. I like Kevin Smith, no Lord of the Rings, right? Because he's been in... he's in something DC, Supergirl or Legends of Tomorrow or something, and then he turns up in Episode 7 under a Stormtrooper outfit.
Does he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got a cameo in there. He's one of the ones who wanders down the corridor when Kylo Ren is destroying the console in the room, and then they sort of turn around and walk back.
Okay.
Yeah, something along those lines. I feel like is in there.
Yeah. But which is Billy D charging for an autograph? £60.
I don't know. Yeah, he's not in Celebration this year.
He's £60 at FCC.
That's not bad. That's pretty reasonable.
Less than
Shatner, but debatably there is less body of work there in terms of movies and stuff. He's obviously very good in Star Wars circles, but outside that, it's slimmer pickings.
Yeah,
and I very much doubt people are bringing bottles of cult malt liquor for him to sign.
No. I'm now wondering if I want to go to LFCC. There's quite a few people there.
It doesn't appeal to me as a convention, not phobe, but
no, it's fair. There's quite a few horror guys who don't tend to come around.
No, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, I can certainly see the appeal if you're an autograph hunter and things like that. I mean, for me, that's not something I tend to. I'm not a big collector, not much of a collector as I used to be anymore.
No, I've got a few Star Wars autographs and I was intended to get more, but I think I just stopped going to conventions for a while, and autograph prices started going up and up, and I kind of tailed off. I've got a couple of Aliens autographs on my Aliens board game, which I got last year. I got Lance Henriksen and William Hodgson.
Cool.
I think that's it.
Yeah, no, I mean that's pretty good.
I don't think I've got any Star Wars books. No, I've got Stan Winston's autograph.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he was tangentially related. Obviously, he wasn't. Majorly involved.
No speaking.
If you could meet and get an autograph from any one person associated with Star Wars, who would you go for?
Ben Mendelsohn. I don't even know why I thought I had to think about it.
Okay.
Love that dude. Mm-hmm. He's another one. All he has to do is turn up in Lord of the Rings because he's in Captain Marvel.
He is. I'd go John Williams for me.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Just give him a hug.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a few bits of odd news. So one of them was that there is a strong rumor. We're just going to touch on it.
Strumor.
There's a strumor that we are imminently awaiting an episode 9 teaser trailer, potentially even as early as tomorrow. So it came via Fanthatrax,
which is Friday 15th.
Right? Yeah, Friday the 15th. So there's a good chance that if you listen to Monday's episode and you go, where are they talking about the teaser? We haven't seen anything about it yet.
Yeah.
So this is according to, it looks like
if we bother watching it, we might not.
Yeah, we're the ones complaining about slow news weeks every week, and then when they finally drop something, we're like, meh.
Rob.
Yeah.
Teaser revealed after Valentine's.
Oh, I think that might have done the rounds as a theory. I was thinking earlier, try Ray as villain. So this is via. It looks like Fanthatrax are the ones who originally broke this.
Okay, cool. Hi guys, nice to see you again.
I met
them at the convention.
Yes, so you did. Yeah. A major UK cinema chain has received a digital cinema package, or DCP, from Disney this morning called TT1 SW9, or as they theorise, Teaser Trailer 1 Star Wars 9. It's encrypted with a KDM, key delivery message, so they can't view the contents until they get the key. No news on when they'll get the key, but they had the Aladdin trailer DCP for 2 weeks before it came out on the Monday. Therefore, Friday might be the day, but it's pure speculation.
What was the code on the trailer, sorry?
Really, really obvious. TT1 SW9.
Bamford Poodoo.
I think that is too on the nose for me.
Yeah, no, absolute poodoo. If they've got it, that's not the code. There's no way. Absolutely not. A code like that would be torrented in seconds.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, totally.
It's a whole Blue Harvest thing. It will be buried. Even like any movie that's got any amount of hype is delivered under code names these days, and it's not going to be something as obvious as that. So if there's truth that this company has that trailer, that is not the code.
Okay. I mean, annoyingly, the kind of person I know who would be able to tell me is former Supremo Mark, because it's an industry he's familiar with.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows the trailer code stuff, it would be him. Annoyingly,
that's the kind of code you save a Word document under. It's not the most anticipated move for the past couple of years.
Maybe it could be that the copyright protection is not something they're so stringent on as they should be, and the key is password 1. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's
a hard one to justify. Rubbish. Yeah, it's a hard one to justify. I'm willing to believe it's possible, but it just seems unlikely to me. That's my takeaway from that. And I mean, not to say that by any means Fanthatrax is doing anything nefarious by any stretch, but just I don't know what to make of that. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
In terms of announcements, there's been one really cool one, and then one that's kind of weird. So the cool one is the new board game you mentioned to me in the pre-show. Tell us about it.
Star Wars Outer Rim is another game coming out from Fantasy Flight Games, who do all of the good Star Wars games. So they've got rights for role-playing games at the moment, which I'm told are very good. I haven't played them myself. But we also did X-Wing, which is easily one of the biggest miniatures games out there at the moment. It's absolutely huge. Armada, Rebellion, Star Wars Legion is the most recent one, all of which you can find on Fire When Ready at Emotionally 14, hosted by the amazingly sexy me.
Nice. Hosted by the amazingly sexy my dad. This got weird fast.
He's a wonderul co-host.
He is, yes.
Consistently breaks us.
Yes.
It's 1 and 4 players, which is unusual, and it's you play as smugglers, scum, villainy, rebels and rogues trying to make a name for yourself on the Outer Rim. The board, I'm trying to forget this isn't fair. The board's kind of weird. It's not actually showing.
I've heard people compare it to the Firefly board game. Is that fair? Kind of a fair comparison?
I've only seen the Firefly board game in passing. I don't really know it, I'm afraid. So it's not something I feel I can comment on. But it's almost like a semicircular board because it's the rim of space, which is nice.
Nice touch.
And you can acquire different ships and upgrade them. So you might start with something like a cheap YT-1300 and gradually work your way up to converting it into the Millennium Falcon with all sorts of odds and ends. You do missions, you screw other players over. It sounds like a lot of fun. It comes with 8 characters. Playable so far, only 5 of which have been revealed, which is unsurprisingly Han Solo, Lando Calrissian and Boba Fett as playable characters. Slightly more surprisingly, Jyn Erso.
Okay, interesting.
Very surprisingly, Dr. Aphra.
Ooh, that's a nice deep cut.
Which pleases me greatly. That's the only one we've seen artwork for. Other characters that were name-checked in the article who may not be main stroke playable characters but will make an appearance is Chewbacca, Hondo Ohnaka and Maz Kanata.
Okay.
But it's also stealing coaxium, flying around the edge of space.
Cool.
It sounds a bit like Wing Commander Privateer in a Star Wars board game.
That does sound. It sounds cool. I like the sound of this, and I want to subscribe to their newsletter.
It is currently tipped for release in Q2. So
was that financial?
No, Q2 2019. So realistically, as an experienced tabletop game, you're probably looking between June and August,
which would be Q2 financial.
Is it Q2 financial?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
so April to June would be Q1, and then July to September, I guess, would be Q2.
The exact wording is look for Outer Rim to release in the second quarter of 2019. So I imagine they mean April to June.
It depends.
Tabletop game always runs late.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on whether if they're talking about calendar year, then it would be April to June, and then financial would be
because it's a business to consumer release. I would imagine they mean April to June.
Possibly, yeah, but it would explain why stuff's always turning up late in your estimation.
I mean, it's possible. It seems a funny way to do it.
I know what you mean.
It's a slow industry, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well is like the thing to keep. I suppose we have to keep in mind is that the way companies release press has changed drastically in the last 15 years. Like it can be all done direct to consumers, but the same release that might announce it is the one that gets hyped up on Facebook. So it's like, it's weird. You know, it may be that they're still kind of stuck in the old ways of sending the stuff to retailers and then going, we can just share that on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, we work with Fantasy Flight to do Fire When Ready. They help us out a lot. We couldn't do a show without them.
Well, you could, but it costs more, way more.
Yeah, way more. We love you very much. Fantasy Flight, we love you very much.
Really, seriously. Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't get press releases from them because quite simply, as soon as they put it on their website, everyone shared and spammed it out already within 5 minutes. What's the point in sending me a press release?
Well, quite. You know, I mean, it's like I say, it's the way the landscape has changed when it comes to PR now. It can all be done direct to consumer.
I'll do what everyone else does, and I'll just retweet the link. You know?
Yeah, fair. I mean, ultimately that's what they want. That's why they put it out on Twitter. If they didn't want it on Twitter, they would just send it to retailers confidentially, and then somebody would leak it on Twitter because that's what people do. You know, it happens, and
it was just dropped out of a field because there was no real build up to this. It was just suddenly, hi, by the way, there's a new Star Wars game coming out.
I'm good with that as a...
Yeah, I know a couple of weeks ago someone wrote in saying they'd gotten into X-Wing and Rebellion off my recommendation, and it is designed by Corey Koneska.
So Imperial Assault, right?
Loads of games. He's an absolutely amazing game designer. Certainly Armada.
Yes. Yeah, but I think he does Imperial Assault as well. I seem to recall seeing his name on the box.
Yeah, if you've enjoyed a game from Fantasy Flight in the past few years, chances are Corey. I believe it's either a Polish or a Jewish name, and I'm not very good at pronouncing it. I think it's Koneska, so apologies.
I think that sounds about right to my ear as well.
Apologies, Corey, if I'm getting that wrong.
If you're listening, feel free to write in a phonetic correction, and we'd love to hear from you in general.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
It is pronounced Koneska.
Koneska, there you go, perfect.
Yeah. Notable games. It's a fair few. StarCraft, Tide of Iron, Battlestar Galactica, the board game. Space Hulk, Death Angel, Descent, X-Wing, Eldritch Horror, Imperial Assault, Rebellion, and Star Wars Destiny.
Yes. I've seen his name on Rebellion.
He's a wonderful game designer. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I've seen him
him doing that kind of side of Star Wars, I think, would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him on the Rebellion box as well now I think about it. So, that makes sense.
Which is my favourite Star Wars game. Rebellion's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a really good game. Really, really fun. So, that's the first announcement, which is awesome. The second one's kind of weird.
Okay.
The Hollywood Reporter, this is where I've got the link from at least, Marvel resurrects original Star Wars comic book series after 33 years.
It's a very strange thing to do. I know why they're doing it, it's just weird.
Yeah, so for those who haven't heard about this, in a surprise announcement to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Marvel Entertainment and continue the successful relationship between the company and its Disney sibling Lucasfilm, Marvel has announced the 108th issue of its original 1970s Star Wars comic book series just 33 years after the 107th.
Still more regular than Kevin Smith writes comics.
Well, there you go. But he's a busy dude in other ways, so...
he is, but there's a number of years between his Black Cat issues.
Number 108 will be a one-shot special issue set in the continuity of the original comic book series, which was removed from official canon years ago. Indeed, the issue, announced by comicbook.com, will actually be a sequel to an issue from that series featuring characters who haven't been seen since Marvel originally lost the comic book license to the property in the mid-1980s after 107 issues. A separate return of the Jedi miniseries that lasted 3 issues and 3 annuals. I heard from somebody, and I think it was Nathan Roberts in the Tom League Saber group, that this wasn't even canon then.
It was S-canon.
S-canon, which is
it is. In the old days, you had G-canon, which was anything George Lucas created.
Yep.
Then you had C-canon, which was books, comics, supporting materials.
Okay.
And then you had S-canon, which was older things like the Marvel comics.
Okay.
Anything pre-Heir to the Empire, basically, was S-canon, which meant it was canon. It could be considered a canon unless G or C-canon overwrote it.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, as opposed to now where there's just one level of canon.
It's canon,
which is a lot simpler.
Yeah.
Yes. And you also had N, which was non-canon. But so they were canon, although
tenuously
some stuff could have overwritten it quite easily.
Okay, fair enough. But it's weird.
I can't pick a specific example off the top of my head, I'm afraid. But
it's weird though, right? It's not just me.
I get why they're doing it, because they want to do something big to celebrate Marvel's 80th, and probably a lot of the guys writing the comics these days grew up on the original Marvel series and want to kind of revisit and have a bit of fun with it. And it's a one-shot, one-off project for them to have fun with. It's a nice little bit of celebration. I can understand the thinking behind it.
It is weird.
It's not what I would have done, but I can understand the appeal.
It's not. I would say it's not like Wookiee calling a sex line midway through dinner prep. Weird. But
yeah, that was S-canon. Holiday Special was S-canon.
There you go. So that's the thing that I still... The more I say it, the weirder it sounds, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just think, imagine if my granddad had done that.
Exactly. He wasn't even a Wookiee.
Exactly. And that was,
Is that worse? Is it worse when he's a Wookiee doing it?
I don't know that it makes a difference, to be honest. I've never really given it that much thought.
If your granddad did do that at Christmas dinner, would you ignore it, you think, or would you draw attention to it?
Well, exactly.
How would you? So there's your question, listeners, for next episode. I want to know how you'd react if in the middle of Christmas dinner your granddad phoned a sex line.
Yeah, that would be an odd... and obviously, kids, don't ask your parents what it is. There's some things. Just enjoy being a kid. To be honest, just you'll find out.
Kids, don't watch the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Also, great advice for kids because they'll just be perplexed, and kids should not have to deal with
adults were.
Yeah, kids should not have to deal with confusion of that complexity. They should just have to be a bit vexed and a bit confused. Like perplexed is a significant step up.
I'll just see Earth's image of you sat next to your sister and just going, "Is he?
Who's that? Is that a video phone? It's the early 90s. What's going on? Like, what is this?"
Anyway, back to Star Wars issue 108.
Yeah,
it's a bit of throwaway fun, and that's fine.
Yeah.
What I worry is that it will throw petrol on the flames of all those people on various Facebook groups who are convinced that if they shout loud enough, the Legends canon's going to get more stuff produced for it.
Yeah, I
like for people who started a change.org petition to get people to do more Legends novels.
Yeah, I do get what you mean. I think it could. My thinking is that I think I was going to touch on this earlier, right? It wouldn't surprise me anymore if some of these things are done specifically to drum up, discussion. Let's call it that. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have surprised me. Now, like I say, earlier on, I realised, I was talking about the Rian Johnson thing, I realised that the outlet that was responsible for it apologised and explained themselves, their justification for doing it, and the fact they acknowledged they made a mistake. It wouldn't have surprised me if it was an outlet that was created by Disney for the purposes of, drumming up hype around the fact that Rian Johnson is coming and going, getting a load of people to, break out the Christmas puddings on Twitter, and... Sorry, that's a metaphor that probably doesn't work in most contexts. But there would be a large kind of, pro-Ryan circle jerk on Twitter. There'd be an anti-Ryan circle jerk on Twitter. And then it would all be confirmed and everything would kind of, die back down. That's the kind of thing that nowadays wouldn't in the age of clickbait, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the kind of thing that was going on. Because I've seen it happen too many times for it to be, and I'm not just talking about Star Wars, I'm talking just generally. I've seen too many times where people go, "Oh, look at this," and it turns out to be deliberately done. The
audio skipped. I missed the last couple of things you said.
It wouldn't surprise me in this age of clickbait to have, that sort of thing happen, and it to be. I've seen it too many times, not including Star Wars, sort of exclusive from Star Wars, just in general. I've seen too many times where it's like, something's completely fabricated and somebody's done it maliciously in order to get a discussion rolled up and to get, to kind of, to shield themselves.
Yeah.
And that's so now it's the kind of thing that I wouldn't even bat an eyelid if it was the kind of thing that actually turned out to be the case. Now, let's say in this case it's not, but, it makes me wonder sometimes if some of these decisions are made with a specific thing of like, plus it'll stir up some stuff on social media. And we know how much we get, we get a lot of attention on, like if we get a mention on Twitter, the old adage about there being no such thing as bad PR. When you've got a large scale defense force, like Rian Johnson has to a degree, and like Lucasfilm has, you're gonna feel pretty confident about doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
because you're gonna get, I think it's fair to say, a fair bit of a fair number of people. Yeah, get some clicks, and you're gonna get a fair few people sticking up for you. And you could deal with the fact that people are complaining because they're always going to. Somebody's always going to. That's to say, not to say that I have to deal with that on a regular basis. I'm sure it sucks, but
at
the same time, at least they're talking about it. Made that sad. The other piece of news, well, it's not even this one's a bit of a kind of speculation, but it is. There's a reason for it. So this is from the piece I've got is from the Metro. Adding to Rian Johnson's trilogy, there's a rumor doing the rounds that the Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones creators, will be doing their own trilogy. So we didn't know how many films. We knew it was going to be films.
TV series, so obviously got turned around.
It was going to be multiple films, I think, was the original gist, but there was no kind of sense of how many. I think a lot of people were airing on 2 as a possible, because they said specifically films. Plural.
Yeah, that's what,
so, according to HBO president Casey Bloys, who was talking about the delays to the series Confederate, which is an HBO series currently being worked on by Benioff and Weiss, somebody was asking him about the delay. his answer was, the delay has to do with the fact that they were offered 3 Star Wars movies. So, I mean, that's not definitive proof, but at the same time, there's, I could certainly see that as credible. So my question would be to you, say they're doing...
To me or the audience?
Well, to you, I mean, to both, but to you, at this moment, to you.
Fine. That's how conversation works.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot easier to do with me and you than it is to do with me and a nebulous amount of other people in countries around the world, certainly with any kind of degree of timeliness.
I've also said that.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think you're right to do so. Let's say they're 3. What tack would you like to see them take with that?
Are we assuming they're all going to be linked in some way? They're not just doing 3 standalone films. We do think it's a trilogy they're working on.
That would be my interpretation of it. Whether or not that's true, I don't know.
Give us something prequel era.
Prequel era? Interesting.
There's a huge gap between Phantom Menace and Clone Wars you can play with.
That's true. I mean, for me, there's a bigger space to play in pre-prequel.
That's fine.
So if you kind of, maybe even if you go down the route of having like a Palpatine trilogy. So that's kind of
I'll be up for that.
His rise to, the Lord of the Sith via
Who would you cast as a younger Palpatine?
That's a good question, because you have to kind of decide how old you want him to be as well. I'd have to think about that.
Ian McDiarmid is currently 74.
Yeah. So if you get, if you think,
do you know how Palpatine's supposed to be?
I think he's supposed to be in his sort of 40s, 50s, isn't he? I'm talking pre-prequel. You're probably talking kind of.
I forgot he was played by Tim Curry briefly.
Well, Palpatine.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, the final series of Clone Wars is Tim Curry.
Oh, okay. That's a good choice. I love a bit of Tim Curry.
Everyone does.
He's brilliant.
Yeah. This girls.
I'm trying to think. I'm really struggling to think of a young Sheev.
Still not sure about Sheev.
It's a peculiar one.
He was born around 84 BBY.
Okay, so if you're talking by the time of BBY, he's 84.
Yeah. So Phantom Menace is 84 minus 32. I'm not allowed to do maths for legal reasons.
About 50? Approximately?
Calculator and everything. 84 minus 32 is, he's 52 at the time of Phantom Menace. Okay. So you want to do 10 years pre-Phantom Menace? You're looking for someone who's around 40 now.
Yeah, somebody who's in the 40s at the present time, or let's say in the next 5 years, kind of late 30s, early 40s. Yeah, I mean, you would definitely fit on that level.
I've got a massive capacity for evil.
I think that's fair to say. I mean,
so if we're going for 40, we're looking for someone who was born, say, 1980, really.
I thought you meant that was all you were going to say. Definitely need somebody who was born, yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to go Wikipedia. I'm going to go to 1980 and look up actors born in 1980 and see if there's anyone there that's any use to us.
Okay, fair enough.
I've taken a bit of a tangent here, but that happens sometimes. Deal with it.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, ultimately, you've got actors who are 50 who would kind of work, like somebody like Ed Norton. Ed Norton would be a good pick, actually. I'm kind of tempted to just say that and just stop. Let's see. He's got some 40-year-old James Franco. Really? Okay. He looks great for 40.
I thought he was about the same age as me.
See also Rachel McAdams, 41. That surprises me. I'm not suggesting Rachel McAdams as young Sheev Palpatine. I don't.
Jason Segel.
I think probably not in this case. I'm probably going to err on the side of no for him.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Brad Pitt's no good. He's 56. I don't mean he's no good. He's a tremendous actor.
But he's a tremendous actor.
I mean in terms of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shunsuke Nakamura.
We've never had Leo in Star Wars. He was rumbling, wasn't he? He was rumoured.
He's about the same age as me, isn't he? He's got to be around
45.
Oh, he's quite old.
74 he was born.
I'm 36, for everyone who's wondering.
Yeah. Joaquin doesn't quite work on a visual level. Shame, because he's very good.
Charlie Hunnam.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Matt Damon's about the right age. 49.
Yeah.
He's kind of in the ballpark. Will Smith? He's getting a lot. He's got a lot of press this week. It's got to be a good thing.
Yeah. As long as he's blue, we're happy.
Yeah.
Or not.
Or not, yeah. Maybe it's you.
Make me so cross.
Yeah. Mark Ruffalo, no. He comes across as too nice.
Yeah.
Even in Zodiac, he comes across as too nice. Oh, I'll tell you what, actually, I've just seen one. I mean, it might not work, but at the same time, I'd love to see it. Matthew McConaughey. I would pay good money to see that, even before the movie came out.
Yeah.
Affleck?
That could work.
He's good. I mean, he's a really good.
Yeah.
47. He's about the right age.
I'd actually quite like to see him direct a Star Wars movie, to be honest.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I'm going to go Ed Norton.
Chris Pine.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. That could work. But I think Ed Norton's going to be my pick.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Ed Norton.
Okay. Macaulay Culkin.
As much as I'd love to see him, I think Malkovich
is Chris Pine, if you're interested.
Okay. As much as I'd love to see him, I think Malkovich might be slightly on the older side in terms of...
He is Plagueis.
He could be a great Plagueis. He is sincerely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not by any means a knock on his acting. It's just, I think he's just a little bit too... He's on the other side of 50. I think you need somebody who skews tiny bit younger. Although, I mean, you don't necessarily have to, right? Because the Force can extend, the Force has had a profound effect on the extension of life of many people. So, there's
Ryan
a good...
Gosling.
Do you know that might work?
He's not actually a Gosling. That's the problem I've got with him.
Yeah, it is tricky. I do have to kind of... Oh, no, it's not going to be the same. I'm just sitting there thinking... What about Josh Brolin?
He's a bit too tough looking. Palpatine's not tough.
No, I suppose. He could be a good bounty hunter, though, like a merc.
Yeah, totally.
Mercenary.
He could be IG-88.
Just whap Cable in. I mean, it's time travel, right?
Yeah, that works.
I mean... and they're
Disney, don't.
Yeah, please don't. No. Much as we love Deadpool, don't find a way.
Christina Aguilera would be a weird pick.
Very weird.
Oh, so amazing actor, born in 1980, Jake Gyllenhaal.
There you go. I'd love to see him in Star Wars. I don't know about Palpatine.
He was Jason Solo in my fantasy cast.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Him and Maggie as Jason and Jaina. Perfectly works.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think Ed Norton would be a good choice. Mm-hmm. Or Sinise, if we're not going to have him as Thrawn.
Yeah,
maybe young Gary, maybe a Gary Sinise.
Welcome to chip in.
Yeah, totally. And I realise he's probably older than we're saying for the range. So I say it knowing that it's probably not going to happen, but at the same time, a man can dream.
Yeah,
got to love a bit of Gary. Elijah Woods. Doesn't quite have the look. I realise that's discounted a lot of the actors we've already discussed, but I think this is why I'm sticking with Ed Norton, because he's kind of got he's got enough that I think it could.
Born 81, Tom Hiddleston.
81. Yeah, I mean it's getting there, and that would probably, in fact, actually, do you know what? By the time it's finished, it'll be the right time. So yeah, let's go for him. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm happy to have him do anything ever. He's amazing.
He is fantastic. Could always get Lee Pace in and complete another one of our trilogies. Because he's obviously running the Accuser and what's the name of the elf?
Thranduil.
Thranduil, thank you. From The Hobbits, right? The Hobbit trilogy.
He's in The Hobbit. But I think he's only mentioned as the Elf King.
Okay.
In the book, but he's King Thranduil,
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I've seen a picture of him. Ooh. The makeup people do a fantastic job.
Hayden Christensen.
What a twist.
As young Palpatine, because he looks like his dad.
What a twist. From a certain point of view. Yeah.
Rami Malek, he can do anything, apparently.
Apparently so. There you go. So maybe him. Maybe he's the trick. Yeah, I'm gonna. Do you know what I was going to say? I'm going to stick with Ed Norton, but now you've mentioned Tom Hiddleston, I can't think of anybody else. So I can't. Yeah. I can picture it totally, really easily. Yeah. So let's go with that.
Okay, cool.
Nice. So there you go. Young Palpatine trilogy is greenlit by Bob Iger. Mm-hmm. What about Old Republic? Could you see them exploring that? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know that they.
I think. My sense
is there interest in it? Is there really interest in an Old Republic movie?
I don't know. My sense is that if anybody's going to explore the old era, it's going to be Ryan.
Yeah, or at least Outer Fringes is what he will do. Yeah. I have this conversation with someone earlier today. Is who's someone who wasn't a fan of The Last Jedi, but they previously enjoyed Rian Johnson's films, but weren't into Last Jedi,
which is fair.
And I stand by. I think Rian Johnson has the potential to do some amazing Star Wars stuff. I just don't know he was the right guy for a core saga movie.
Maybe, yeah. It's a hard one to hard one to quantify, I guess. But
yeah.
I think so my sense is that Ryan strikes me as somebody who's very interested in the Force. And he would be really good, well placed to go back and do something like a Dawn of the Jedi style. First people to discover the Force kind of.
The thing is, what I would say is there really the interest in that? Do people want to see that?
I don't know.
Because to most people, Star Wars is still the galactic civil war.
True, yeah.
I mean, people say they want an Old Republic TV series or Old Republic movies, but this is cognitive bias. These are the sort of people who actively hunt down, listen to Star Wars podcasts.
True.
That's not the people who fund massive blockbuster movies. If we get Old Republic stuff, video games, comics, books, yeah, absolutely. But I don't know there would be the mainstream interest in an Old Republic movie because the man on the street, the Star Wars fan who digs for movies, owns them on DVD, but isn't obsessed like we are. Is he going to want to see, oh yeah, it's a Star Wars movie, but it's got absolutely nothing to do with all the other Star Wars movies?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think the other thing as well is bearing in mind that there's still rumblings that James Cameron's going to do some more Avatar movies. If you go far enough back in Star Wars history, you probably start exploring settings that might end up being a bit reminiscent of Pandora.
I mean, possibly, yeah.
Yeah. It really depends on...
It's blown wide open, so they could do anything with it, but...
yeah, it's...
I don't know that there would be the mainstream dollar to hook people in an Old Republic movie. I mean, to draw comparisons... Star Trek Enterprise didn't set the world on fire.
True.
Star Trek fans like it. Star Trek fans rate Enterprise very, very highly. But
yes, true.
Most people know Kirk and Picard still.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, most people don't talk about DS9 and Voyager in the same breath as OS. They
have their fans. They have people who love them very, very much, but they don't have the mains. Put it this way, J.J. Abrams didn't make an Enterprise movie.
No, it's true. Yeah, very true. So that's the rumbling.
Made a Star Wars movie, guys.
Yeah, indeed.
You're not getting him back.
That's the rumbling. The rumbling is that Benioff and Weiss are going to be a trilogy makers, just like Ryan.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, I think
because that's essentially the Marvel model. Because really, all the Marvel characters get trilogies.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, they've got what? So
the only real crossover is Civil War and the Avengers movies.
Yeah. I mean, Iron Man's had a trilogy, Thor's had a trilogy, Captain America's had a trilogy, Hulk too, but he turned up in Ragnarok. There's a fair bit of time in that.
I understand there's a contractual thing why there can't be a second Hulk movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's just my understanding. I don't know the exact ins and outs. I remember seeing an interview with Mark Ruffalo and he said they can't do a Hulk standalone movie, which is why the Avengers and Ragnarok became Hulk movies. They can't just release a Hulk movie for some reason.
Weird.
I don't know, but it could be tied to not routes the old Bill Bixby TV show for all I know.
Yeah, potentially. Otherwise, like you say, the other ones are just crossovers, aren't they? So Ant-Man had 2 and then Avengers, Civil War. He's in the new Avengers Endgame. Captain Marvel's got 1, obviously. Black Panther's got 1. Spider-Man's got 2.
These are newer ones we haven't had. Yeah, but they're not making noises about doing Thor 4, are they?
No, they're not. This is true. I mean, obviously, they're not going to. I don't think they're going to announce any Marvel stuff post Endgame until we're actually post Endgame.
We've already got Spider-Man announced, haven't we?
Yeah, but that's supposed to be set.
Oh, it's set before. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I've heard people say that it's set after, which is like way to spoil Endgame.
Yeah,
we know it's going to. Let's be fair. We know it's going to get
have a happy ending. We know that because
timey-wimey stuff and undoing things.
It's a kids' Marvel movie. It's going to have a happy ending. Yeah, we hope.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
It's just going to end with Punisher kills the Marvel Universe.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
because especially if it's John Bernthal or they bring Thomas Jane back. Either one's great with me.
Thomas Jane is my Punisher.
Yeah,
because it's his voice I hear when I read the comics now.
Fair. There you go. So that's the Star Wars news this week. Say lots of stuff that's not quite news, and
not quite Star Wars. We went off on a Marvel tear and people who were born in the early 80s.
Yeah, very well brief. Brief nonetheless. But still, I'm sure people get enjoyment out of it.
Conveyor eggs.
Well, this is true. Yeah, it's a risk. So if you've enjoyed Talk Star Wars this week, then thanks for that. But if you want to subscribe, then you can do so by visiting us on the web at various different points. We're on iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, Podbean, I think. Also, if you go to talkstarwars.co.uk, there's a page that's just the podcast page, so you can just go direct to that.
We're also one of the forms of medium that it is acceptable to consume during Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes, this is true. You can totally put Talk Star Wars on during Thanksgiving dinner. Grandad, if you're listening, if they're looking at you weird, it's because put your trousers back on, Grandad. Yeah. Honestly.
I mean, I appreciate you're a Wookiee and no one else is wearing trousers, but maybe you should.
Maybe you should be the one to start the trend. Maybe they'll listen to you, Grandad Wookiee.
Lumpy or Wumpy, whichever one you are. Itchy.
Yeah. No, Lumpy's the kid, I think.
Okay, which one's Itchy?
I think it's the older one, but that'll happen, won't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I'm just scratching it.
Talkstarwars.co.uk. You can get the podcast page directly. We are on Patreon. If you want to throw $1 our way every month for the privilege of getting an ad-free version of the show, which delivers a couple of days early, then you can do so by visiting patreon.com/talkstarwars. And let's say $1 a month is all it takes to, get that ad-free episode.
Yeah.
We're also on emotionally14.com.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, because that's where Talk Star Wars lives now. Because, we got it in the divorce. I don't know how else to describe it. I bought it. That's what happens.
Yeah.
It's just part of the old media empire. It's
slowly building it.
Yeah. I think this year I'll take a break because You
reckon?
Yeah, I did a lot of acquiring last year, and I need to step back and enjoy it for a little while.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let it just kind of produce, and then
world domination.
Exactly. It's like crop rotation, isn't it? You can't just put sorghum straight in.
Cool. I'll just continue producing content.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do that too.
I know you do.
Everybody. Yeah.
I'm helping right now.
You know that. But, maybe the listeners don't know that. But you can find Emotionally Forward. On YouTube, there's iTunes, there's more podcasts. If you're an adult or, in any way young at heart, generally, Emotionally 14 has lots of cool stuff that you would enjoy. It's on the web at emotionally14.com, digits, not letters. Never quite managed to get that domain name back. They want a stupid amount of money for it, and it just ain't happening. Because, as much as I love this website we produce, it's not worth the price they're asking for the domain name because it is ludicrous.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that it's Ludacris who owns the domain name.
Yeah.
I assume it's some
millionaire,
dude. Brad, social media, where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Brad Harmer Barnes. Don't feel shy about adding me. I add virtually everyone, including Russian spy bots who I then troll about my taxidermy hobby. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RealBradHB. You don't even have to ask for permission. You can just follow these things. That's literally what they're for.
Yeah.
In theory, I'm on Vero, but I don't think I actually have the app on my phone anymore. Is anyone still on Vero? I saw an advert for it recently. I thought it had died.
No idea.
No, maybe not. I'm on this podcast, so you can find Fire When Ready, my Star Wars tabletop gaming show on emotionally14.com and on Emotionally14's YouTube channel. But obviously, if you have me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, I will incessantly plug all that stuff at you anyway. And of course, I'm also an absolutely amazing horror writer, and you can buy all of my books through Amazon.
Yes, you can. And if you go to emotionally14.com, there is a place where you can go and click the link, and it will take you to Amazon, where you can find the books. And not only will Brad get some, love from it, but also E14 gets a tiny amount of Amazon credit for the trouble of referring you as well. So
everybody, don't worry,
everybody wins.
Yeah.
I can be found on social media at Rob Wade Vision on Twitter and Instagram. I'm also the face behind the place at Emotionally14 and Talk Star Wars. And I'm the podcast guy. I do produce Talk Star Wars. I also produce two other shows, The Crazy Train, which is adult themed comedy. And random stuff, and then the E14 Gamecast, which is adult-themed tabletop and video games.
Yep.
It's all jolly good fun, and I would heartily recommend everybody check it out.
Star Wars content. Actually, I have a dedicated Star Wars Instagram at Fire When Ready UK, which is for behind-the-scenes stuff for all of my Star Wars modelling and video editing stuff. So if you want to see me working on ATSTs and TIE Fighters and stuff like that, then that's the Instagram to follow.
Nice, indeed. So, speaking of great content, that's the one.
Yes.
I knew I had a segue. I knew I had it. Speaking of great content, we are part of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network.
In many ways, we're one of the founders.
Well, no, in the literal sense.
Yeah.
That is one. That's totally a thing. So, the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network is 9 fantastic Star Wars podcasts.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're brilliant. I cannot say enough good things about these people. They are wonderful, wonderful people. So I'm going to list them off for you now. So obviously there's Talk Star Wars. We know this.
Obviously.
We're on it. Talking about it right now. Yeah. Tumbling Saber.
Yeah, I like those guys.
I like those guys. I love those guys.
Yeah, but it's all lightsaber joking.
I love all these guys.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I love all these guys. Generation X-Wing.
Yeah, that's about tutting at X-Wings. It's really good.
Yep. Get off my lawn. You've burned the grass.
Yeah.
The Nerd Room.
Oh, that's those guys are in that room they can't get out of.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah.
That's DC, Marvel, and Star Wars comics.
Which is what I consume most of.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much true for probably a lot of our demographic. The Venn diagram's a big circle.
Yeah, I'm making an effort with DC again, guys.
Yeah, cool. Nice. Rogue Squadron podcast.
Those are really like Rogue Squadron-y ones.
Yes, video games and Star Wars.
That's the ones, yeah.
And Star Wars video games.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron is a Star Wars video game. That's the link, yeah.
San Diego Sabres radio podcast.
Those was lightsaber guys.
Lightsaber combat guys, that's the guys.
Yes. I do listen to all of them. It's just I'm quite stupid.
That's the spirit. Tatooine Sons.
I love those guys.
Yes, I love those too.
They're really, really great fun.
And they're the ones...
I enjoy their take on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and they named a Porg, lest we forget.
They did.
They're making a big push to make Turbos canon.
Yeah.
The Retro Ink podcast.
That's one I've recently started listening to, but I really like that one.
Yeah, Best of British, Speaking of Best of British, Retro Ink.
Yeah, tally-ho, pip,
and our newest members, the Sandcrawler cast, Dan and Mike, the collecting action figure stuff, fantastic guys.
They are on my feed, but I haven't gotten around to listening to you guys yet. I'm sorry. It will happen, but I'm like 8 weeks behind on the Archers as it is. I'm only just doing the Christmas episode.
The Sandcrawler cast are fantastic guys. They fit in. They're like part of the furniture already. I love having them on. So 9 fantastic shows. Some of them have got Patreons. They go mad on producing content. You cannot go wrong with any of them. And, you can find out all about them and find all the latest episodes on the web at StarWarsCommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world.
Yeah, boy.
Thank you for listening to Talk Star Wars, episode 156. We will see you again next week for episode 157, all being well. Thank you very much for listening, and may the Force be with you.
Whoop, whoop.